No. Like, well, I guess we were discussing also before that what like religion would mean to you.
Oh, but that's a
and
very broad
how-
question
yeah,
in
yeah,
relation
yeah.
to hers.
And
Yeah.
how she studies these communities, maybe.
Okay, so yeah, maybe your approach to studying
Yeah.
a closed community.
So, I don't study anything. It sounds so objective, or as if I objectify anything, which I totally can't. Yeah? I'm not a social science person going there, and really this only happened once, and it was by accident. But I can tell you about it. So. It was in Notting Hill in London that I moved from one area to another area. And I saw on the map that there's a Carmelite convent right in my neighborhood. And then I met a nun, a nun was sitting next to me on the bus. And I was wanting to do drawings of dancing nuns or woodcuts of dancing nuns because I was interested in embarrassment, and like if people go to a Steiner school, for example, or they have an embarrassed memory of eurythmy or of certain kind of Steiner dances, and similarly in Catholic contexts this exists. And then this nun was getting off the same stop, and then I asked her if I could visit them, and then I started a relationship. But it's not like that I have a research procedure or anything. It's just very. I live a normal life, and chance is part of it, I guess. Yeah.
How was your relationship inside the community?
I never was inside a community, because if it's a closed community,
Yes.
it means nobody can go in there, can enter. Yeah, and yeah. So, but with these Carmelite nuns that have nothing to do with this project, I should say. Yeah. It was like this, monasteries have a certain architectural structure, that there's a space called parlatorium, a parlor, where the inside and the outside world meet. And this is a space for visitors with a window in between two spaces, basically. And then the outside, somebody visiting from outside comes from one door, and the nuns come from the interior space through another door, and then you speak. Very normal. Yeah. And so you find it on every plan of a monastic institution, wherever you go. Yeah, that's provided, this parlor. Yeah, but nobody goes in. So.
Yeah.
I have another question, and it's that I think in your work you talk about a lot of amazing and interesting things, like could be philosophy. You talk about the shame.
Yeah.
You talk about the religious.
Yeah.
You talk about the figure, the female and the males. But I think taking a look about your exhibition, I think, because just reading you can understand more things than just seeing the exhibition. I don't know why, looking at your exhibition, I feel that there's more importance about the religion as just like as a thing instead of the shame, because, well, the shame you can see, for example, in the apples, or you can make a dialogue. But I think there's something like, I don't know, maybe the visitors can like it's something like personal. I mean, because I can see the difference between, for example, the colors. I can understand why is the importance of the colors, of the function of the colors in the exhibition.
Yeah.
For example, there's a lot of canvas with colors. There's like I just think like there's 2 oranges, 2 kind of reds, 2 kind of greens, 1 blue, and 3 blacks, more or less. I think is that. But I can understand.
You cannot understand?
No, I can't.
These are many questions.
But just for just
So the colors are just there by accident. by chance. The colors are colors that I could source and that I used to produce working uniforms. So there's only one black, but there's two very dark blues, and one is used by the Royal Air Force in Britain, and the other dark blue is used by the police. So this is what we find in life, no? The colors. It's not an aesthetic choice made by me, and also how they're put together in a row. The installation team just put them on the floor to start to think about distances and so on, and I just and then it's an accidental series of colors, and I just leave it like this because I don't want to make aesthetic choices. Does yellow look nice next to red or something? I'm not interested in that. Yeah? So it's just like they put it on the floor, we put it up. Shame, yeah, we don't. What should I say? This wasn't something I particularly dealt with for this exhibition. That's a project, a scholarly project I've worked on for a decade, and I've written a book about, but that's not like something you would see in every exhibition, but I think it's relevant for every single piece of art, because we do something and then we show it and then others judge it, and that's the structure that has to do with shame. So whatever you show, yeah? And or whatever you speak about, and religion, yes, there's a certain religious iconography, and even like where you don't see it. For example, the uniform fabrics in the continuity of my work, they have to do with the question of the habit. Of the religious dress. For example, I painted, I used to paint the exhibition spaces in brown color for certain reasons, because it has to do with questions of objection and also with the coarse habit, with the Franciscan habit. And I think of the uniform of people working with garbage or people working in gardens also, and in terms of the habit. So for me, it's a shift of, in this respect. So even there, I have for me, it's codified in a religious way. Yeah, but it has to do with value and the opposite of value, which are questions that are relevant in all social systems, religious systems, and the art world as a social system. Yeah. Who is important? What do we like? What do we respect? Yeah.
To shift back to your earlier comment on installation, so you're not very involved with the process.
Very involved, but so it's a deliberate decision that I say I don't take a decision here. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a method.
I'm interested in the media you use to make your work, and I can kind of see the influence of older religion and poverty and so on in the woodcut, and I'm interested in how you've juxtaposed that with the more brighter colours and the glass in this exhibition. Could you talk a bit about your choices and what media you use and why?
Woodcut is hardly a choice for me. That's just a medium I work with. Yeah, like a painter is a painter. So but it was a choice when I first started to work with that medium in the 90s, and it had to do with questions of the medium of conceptual art, I guess. The 90s in not in Britain, but in Germany were the era of, like, after the 80s, which was strong in the art market. People were dealing with political questions in the art, and there was a strong wave of post-conceptualism, and media during that period were the coarse look of the textbook. And so woodcut was the medium of male 80s art market artists, and there's a certain normativity of, or used to be a normativity of, what the medium of conceptual art is, and certainly not woodcut. Yeah? So that had to do with the choice for this medium, apart from the fact that I like it. And then the glass paintings. the glass painting is a medium that is a folk art medium. Yeah, it's used in Bavarian folk art, in Romanian folk art, and it's close to hobbyism, to the questions of amateurism, and that's very important for me. The amateur is a lover. Yeah, and then it's the glass painting has also to do with church windows, I guess. So with questions of what's inside, what's outside, where does the light come from, and which perspective do we take on these questions? What's inside, what's outside, where does the light come from? And then the fabric is fabric. I used these fabrics for the first time last year at the Sao Paulo Biennale, and it was a huge fabric piece, and it was really to replace the brown wall painting and give it was an installation question also, how can I give the space some body, some anchor, but it was also in relation to Sao Paulo content-wise, because it somehow related motifs in the Giotto fresco, where fabric is very important, also narration-wise, to Brazilian modernism. Yeah? Like if you think of Oiticica and performative practice in Brazilian modernism. So it was in order to relate early European Renaissance art history to late South American modernism. Yeah.